And this happens to be School Choice Week. So let's bring in Nathan Brinkman. Nathan Brinkman is the Executive Director of EdReform in Virginia. And it looks like we do have a proposed school choice bill that Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears announced yesterday. So, Nathan, first of all, thanks for joining us. And secondly, what does this school choice bill in Virginia look like?
Hey, Larry and Julie, it's great to be on the program. Yeah, we have come a long way in Virginia. I was on the morning show on WMAL just about 3 years ago to the day to discuss a bill that would have abolished Virginia's only quite limited private school choice program. Fast forward 3 years later, we now have at least 4 school choice bills that I'm aware of in Virginia's legislature. The one that has the most legislative momentum is HB 1508 that has the full backing of Lieutenant Governor Sears. It would establish education savings accounts that would allow families with rising kindergartners or kids currently enrolled in Virginia public schools to access their state educational tax dollars to be used for a variety of education-related expenses, including but not limited to private school tuition.
This is so great. So essentially, and I want to make clear here, one of my frustrations, because I pulled all my children from the public schools, and you know that, Nathan, we've talked about this. I still pay property taxes, which are designated to go to the public school. So it's not like when you pull your kids out of school, it's like the government says, oh, well, you can save your property taxes and put it towards your education. But this is essentially what that is. It's allowing people who pay into a system that they don't use to go to a school to help fund their children's education in another place. Why is this so controversial? This makes complete common sense, Nathan. Why does the left in Virginia object to this so passionately?
Right. Ostensibly, the purpose of educational tax dollars is to educate children. That's how I personally would define public education, an educated public. However, as often happens with government, institutions are created and you have people with vested economic interests in those taxpayer-funded institutions. And so, unfortunately, a lot of people conceive of public education as the school buildings, the school bureaucracy. We need to change that paradigm and fund students directly. And if parents have confidence in their local neighborhood, public government-run schools, they can send their kids there and their education tax dollars would follow. But if that's not the right fit for their child for whatever reason, why not allow them to send their kid and their kids' educational tax dollars elsewhere?
Right. Well, and it's because the professional public school educators, government-run school educators, state school educators are not interested in excellence and providing the best education. They're just interested in all that money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be afraid of competition. You know, they immediately say, well, we're going to lose all this money because the kids and the money are going to leave our schools and go to another school. How about you make your school better? And then you'll keep that money.
Well, that's right. And that's their argument. It would defund public education if parents were allowed to have some measure of control over their kids' tax dollars. Well, the only way it would conceivably defund public schools is if parents concluded that those public schools are not serving their own kids' best interests. So when defenders of the current de facto education monopoly argue that school choice will defund public schools, it betrays a certain lack of confidence in those very public schools they advocate for.
Right, within a monopoly. And also it's the antithesis of being pro-student. It's the antithesis of being, frankly, it's anti-education. If you're pro-education, you want kids to be educated in the best possible way, no matter what kind of institution it happens to be. Here's my question, though. You know, we've had vouchers in the past. We've had, now you're saying this is an education savings account. Why not just cut out all of these middlemen and cut out the paperwork and do something that Iowa just signed in, or what Doug Ducey in Arizona just signed in, which is very simple school choice proposal. Doesn't involve savings accounts and all that stuff. It just says the money from the state is going to follow the student wherever the student goes, and the state will fund that student if they go to this education choice. So that, why do the whole, complicated private education savings account and all that stuff?
You're right. Arizona has become probably the gold standard for school choice in America. I would just note that that didn't happen overnight, and they started with more incremental initiatives. And Virginia has been so far behind the times when it comes to school choice for so long. Even a limited program would be a dramatic improvement over the status quo. But to your question, Arizona has what's typically called education savings accounts. And that doesn't mean that you have to use your own W-2 income to put into an education equivalent of an IRA. It does actually establish accounts using state education funds, and parents would be able to direct those funds to the school of their choice. So
it's similar.
The bill that Virginia is contemplating is similar. It's just a little more limited in scope, at least in its current proposed iteration.
Now, Nathan, I want you to get to the event that is coming up here this weekend, but really quickly, I was sort of sad to learn that this bill does not allow parents who currently have children enrolled in a private school to apply for this ESA. That's very disappointing. And I have to tell you, a lot of parents like myself were forced out of the public schools because of COVID. This seems like a really core group of parents who are interested in supporting these sort of school choice proposals. Can you give me a real quick answer on why that is?
Well, I'm not here to lobby for or against any particular bill in the legislature. There is, however, a bill that is more comprehensive in nature. It just doesn't seem to have as much legislative momentum today. That could just be a function of the current breakdown of the Virginia General Assembly. Even this more limited, although by Virginia standards still ambitious bill, it's by no means certain that it'll pass the Virginia Senate and reach the desk of the governor for his signature. So I believe it's probably just a matter of legislative strategy and adopting a more incrementalist approach. And while I can understand how frustrating that would be for parents such as yourself, I would just note that Virginia has been behind the times for so long, and we really are playing catch up when it comes to empowering parents with choice. And I would point to the examples of states that have been more on the vanguard, including Arizona. They started with more limited plans.
Right. We'll get there, but we got to get that camel nose under the tent, as it were. And by the way, that's a lesson you can learn from the left. That's how it always works with them. Meanwhile, Nathan Brinkman, along with EdReform Virginia and the great people at Independent Women's Forum, they're hosting a free barbecue school choice week celebration. Julie Gunlock, you'll be co-hosting it along with other speakers. Its space is limited, so you got to RSVP for this, but it is Saturday, the 28th at 6 p.m. at Rockland's Barbecue in Arlington, and Vince Colonnese will be there as one of the speakers.
So will Nathan, and so are Ginny Gentles and many others.
And I would be if I weren't out of town, but sadly I had previously scheduled engagement. But Nathan, it's always great to talk with you, and you guys have fun at the barbecue Saturday.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
All right.